If your Etsy shop isn't making sales, it might not be your products, but it might be that you're using advice from 2015. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what Etsy strategies to keep using and which ones to ditch. What's up everybody, Dave here. In this video, I want to talk about some Etsy strategies that might be holding you back. Now this could be for new sellers or existing sellers that have been around for a long time and have had consistent sales, but when it comes to creating new listings, might be doing it the wrong way. So it's really good to stay on top of what does work, what doesn't work, because there are some lingering strategies and pieces of advice that have hung around from 2015 and 2016 era of Etsy. Nowadays, I don't predict many massive changes happening to Etsy, its SEO, its algorithm, things like that, like changes happened years ago. Sometimes changes would totally put a massive ripple throughout the community and change the way we think about selling on Etsy in general. But nowadays, I don't predict that. I could be wrong, but let's talk about some of these things. So the first thing I want to talk about is overstuffing your titles. You don't need to go all the way to the end. I like to stick around 80 to 120 characters. Why? Because if you need to go until 140 characters, it's likely that you're either repeating too much or you are simply going after too many keyword demographics all at once. And if you're going after too many keyword demographics all at once in the same exact title, it's likely that you might not even show up or rank for any of them. So if there's something like, let's say that there's 3 realms of keywords that this one product could apply to and could sell if put in front of the right people, right? Choose one focus for each title on each copy of those listings. But focusing on all of them all at once usually causes listings to fall flat on their face. So that's the first one. Overstuffing titles, it's completely unnecessary. There are instances where you do have a lot to say and it's all relevant. There's not a lot of repetition, but I do, encourage you to test a shorter title. Now, I'm not referring to, being extremely short, like 60 or something to that degree. Sometimes people go way too short, which is another tip that I don't want you to do. Go far too short, but stick to around 80 to 100 characters. If you have to go longer, that's fine, but just don't repeat like there's no tomorrow. The next thing I want to talk about is repetitive keyword usage. In the title, you only have to say an adjective once. A noun you will have to repeat, like jewelry, necklace, and gift, for example. You'll have to repeat one of those two in a title if you have a lot of adjectives to apply in front of them. But if you're completely repeating the same adjectives, that's completely unnecessary. In a title, no more than 2, 3 is still pushing it, but it's an adjective. So you can use other adjectives later on. You will have to reuse your noun in the title, but that's a different story. Just don't reuse repetitive adjectives over and over and over. Same goes for tags. You don't want to repeat yourself a million times in tags. It used to be back in 2015 that if you repeated yourself more, you would rank higher and you could stuff the front page of a search term, the results for a search term, by simply repeating yourself like crazy. And it was really annoying, but that's how in its adolescence Etsy's algorithm was back then. Now it's smart, it doesn't do that. We can't really clump them as much as you were able to in the past. So that's the second or third one, I think. Repetitive keyword usage, don't do that. The fourth one here is obsession over your title positioning. Now, put the most important words in the front of the title that's important to the end customer. But you don't have to put the most important or highly searched keyword in the front of the title. The algorithm will mix and match. You will be able to see this in your stats time and time again. Go to one of your best sellers, look at the all-time stats, and you will see in the keyword traffic sources, in the keyword stats, that you have keyword searches that are an adjective from the front of the title or the end of the title matched up with a noun at the front of the title or the end of the title, and it mixes and matches. And if you spot that, definitely use that new phrase in the future on future listings that it applies to. That's a great way to expand horizontally and give the algorithm more of what it's knowing you for already. So that is a big thing though. You don't need to obsess on where the keywords are in the title. Just make sure that the customer can read it clearly and understand what it is. That's point number 4. So the next one is punctuation. You don't need to worry about punctuation. No commas, yes commas. It largely does not matter. Some believe that it does matter. I would suggest that you test it yourself if you are that convicted over it. I personally, in my student stores and in my stores, have seen absolutely no difference. And I cannot imagine the algorithm is using punctuation to pay attention to or not pay attention to commas and giving more weight to words in your title if there's a comma there. Now, if that was ever true whatsoever, and I'm wrong right now in this moment, and it was true at some point, I can't imagine that the algorithm will continue to be that adolescent in its reasoning and ranking. That punctuation would affect how words are matched up when trying to serve the right product to the right customer. That comma, no comma thing is really remnant of years and years and years ago. If it is a thing right now and I'm completely wrong, which I am very convicted that I am right, I guarantee you that would be phased out in years to come, because an algorithm is smarter than that, commas or no commas. And then back in 2015, with having bars or dashes in your titles, people used to believe that having a dash in your title meant that everything after the dash was now removed from potential ranking. That by having a dash, you're telling the algorithm, don't rank me for these words. And it's not like your title is coding language or some type of advanced CSS language. It's a title for the algorithm to read regardless of punctuation, and it's going to show your products to the customers that type those words in, regardless of what punctuation is in there. Bars, dashes, commas, no commas, whatever it may be. If the right words are in there and the right photos are there, it's going to sell. So punctuation, largely useless, but I prefer commas. It's the cleanest, it takes up the least amount of space, and it looks the least spammy. No space, no commas looks very spammy, and it does look very unprofessional. The next thing I want to talk about is conversational language in titles. That's words like and, with, and for. Now, this is a preferential thing. You can do just fine with these words in there, but I wanted to throw this in there because conversational language, for example, for, doesn't need to be in there. Instead of gift for dad, just have dad gift or father gift. That's not proper English, no, but titles are not proper English. Titles are not formal sentences. They're search optimized titles and words. So you don't have to worry about sounding like a person. So don't say gift for dad, say dad gift. You just saved 5 spaces by not having for. So you don't need conversational language, and don't talk to your customer in the title. Don't say multiple choices available, for example. That's very conversational and you're talking to your customer. Please do not do that. You're wasting a ton of space. People will see that there are multiple colors available. If they like it enough, they'll click on it, they'll see the variants. And a lot of the times, consumers are smart. They know that there's multiple colors available. Please don't put that stuff in your title, like free shipping available or something. I don't see it as much anymore, but people still do it. The next thing I want to talk about is misusing categories or occasions. So I see this a lot where people will choose Christmas or some big holiday to fill out in their listing, but it has nothing to do with those holidays, and for some reason they think that's going to help their listing. Please don't do that. If it's not explicitly relevant to the product, please do not fill out random categories, and please do not fill out random occasions. It's only telling the algorithm something that your listing is not, and it isn't coherent, or it isn't helping your listing whatsoever. So that is everything I have for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you didn't know any of these things. If you did know any of these things, be sure to grab the free Etsy Ads cheat sheet in the description below and book a call with me if you're interested in mentorship. Have a beautiful day.